Hey guys, so we're here today with a video of the Fire Dragon Elder Nuri. So whilst this video is going on, I'm going to use this to tell you guys a bit about Fire Dragonkin from the universe with Jude and Sebastian. First off, the right to have fire comes from where fire dragons live. They live essentially by a massive active volcano, and they go through rituals whereby a lot of incantations and prayers are said about the new individual coming into their flames, and then they kind of have a baptism whereupon they enter a pool that is basically heated by the flames of the volcano, and that is their christening into their power. Now, Fire Dragonkin have technically 3 basic forms in which their magic takes place, although it is divided into a 4th because the 3rd one is very hard to master. So the most common form is your generic fire breathers. These types of dragonkin tend to rely on having a really extremely hot cool body temperature, like kind of hot. And yeah, so basically that then dictates the strength and length of their ability to breathe fire. However, the drawbacks with that is every time they use it, their core temperature does lower for a little bit. So they just have to be mindful of not overusing it, because if their core temperature, goes below a certain point, then they could get very sick or potentially even end up dead, so not fun. Next we have the firesmiths, who are kind of my favorite. These guys don't really do a lot of fire magic per se, but they imbue items with fire ability. So that can be your typical fire swords, fire arrows that never go out, then to the more interesting thing of like they can make clothes that can retain heat or expel heat. So they do a lot of stuff with that, which I think is really quirky and cool. Then we have our heat manipulators. Now these guys have to do a hell of a lot of training, and it's really difficult to become like a master in this skill. It is worth it though, because they can exponentially increase their flame strength, intensity, the effects. So for one example, they can actually take all the heat in a space and combine it into one hyper hot spot. In some cases that creates like a plasma ball, but what this simultaneously does whilst reducing the heat from other areas or the other areas in the space is that space then just freezes over like solid ice cold. That is an extent to which they can learn to manipulate heat in general, and the absence of heat and what that effect can have on environments and spaces. The other really cool thing about them is once they've achieved like a certain level, they can start creating flames that will not be affected by water or other elements coming in to try and put them out. So it is a really fun one, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of years for them to learn, which is why they tend to divulge into a branch off of flame manipulators. So with flame manipulators, there are basically 2 sides. You can either be a more combative type flame manipulator, which is very basic. It's kind of flame breathing, but a little bit extra. It's basically the idea of being able to manipulate your flames how you see fit, which is linked through the heat manipulation, but they've literally got to a point where they're like, I'm happy with my flames, I'm gonna just, have these fancy doodah bits of flame tricks and attacks under my belt, and that's good enough for me. And then you get the creative types, which I think are also kind of really fun. They're like my second favorite, but these types learn how to manipulate heat to lift up particles of other things, and use different metal particles and stuff to change the color of their flames, which then means they can basically paint any kind of picture they like with their flames, which is a really cute, cool, non-confrontational way, and it's not frowned upon. Whilst Dragonkin tend to be very proving one's strength driven. They are not limited to that, and they understand the value in being able to make something pretty out of things that are very dangerous. Like, the whole journey, like, with flames, even from something as simple as fire breathing, is very difficult, and oftentimes dragons will injure themselves through the process of learning how to control their flames. So that's it for our Dragonkin folk. Let me know you guys' thoughts on these very interesting, fun, different types of fire magic. And stick around, because I'm working my way through doing all the elders for the Dragonkin, and I will gradually do more videos for the other species in Jude and Sebastian's universe. Thank you for sticking around and watching, guys. Take care, be safe.